Starting off, where's he gone? Paul, you appear to be first in line, so I'd like to explain a little bit about this. Yeah, bring it forward onto the table by all means. Right, this wasn't working until the other day. I put a call out for on the TARS Facebook page, and I bought some bits online, and the diode for the detector was a shotty, wasn't working. It had a 0.5 forward voltage, wasn't working at all with this. This was right, so it's a loose coupled, obviously, and it's all done by theory. I haven't been able to test it, so I still don't know if it's working. Didn't have a bit of wire to stick it up. Didn't have a transmitter to send on it. Mike helped me with that. I could actually hear stuff coming through it on 363, so that worked. This was an old variable capacitor. It was only 200 puff. I needed 365, so I piggybacked some capacitors on top of it to try and make it balanced so that the fat worked properly. It's a fairly common loose coupled, and theoretically, if you've got a good strong signal, you can twist your primary. So antenna, earth, yeah. So about it, really.
It looks very nicely constructed.
Yeah, nicely constructed. Yeah.
Before you go, how did you wind the coil? On a broom or something?
Very thick broom. That was just a bottle. It's one of those plastic bottles with acetone or something, and I just wound it round. Yeah, this was a bit of scrap
They are
wire.
fantastic.
That was a bit of scrap wire, and I just used a bit of plastic and a bit of just to stabilise it because it kept unwinding. So we'll see in a minute whether it works. I haven't had a chance to spec it analyse or anything. So.
Well done.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Fantastic.
Yeah, very good.
Made a bit of a terrorist.
Bloody true it was. This is based on an American design. I'm not responsible for any design of that. So I found a design using a particular chip. I thought, oh great, I'll go for that chip. Yeah, okay. It took me about 3 to 4 weeks to get hold of it, and I kept on having paperwork to say I'm not going to export it to China or Russia.
Can you send it to Israel?
Probably.
They'll pass it on.
It's using a 0 voltage FET. And likewise, I've not tested it. As I said, it's an American design. It was a pig to wind the coil.
Yeah.
I started off winding it on a 2-inch former. As soon as I released it, it just went twang, and it flew open. So I ended up winding it on a piece of 1.5-inch pipe. And I thought, how am I going to support it? So I thought, right, a good idea, variable board.
Yeah.
Cut variable board, straight piece of the variable board, wind the inductance through the holes in the variable board. Not exactly a crystal set, but likewise, be interested to see if it works. Oh dear, here we are. Be interested to see if it works.
Beautifully built.
Yeah, beautifully built.
That must be second attempt, but for a flipping crystal set, you would have thought there was a piece of cake to build. It turned out to be a nightmare. Especially trying to design the coils, and I ended up giving up and then doing a search on the internet and came up with this American guy's design. I've got to copy it. That's my little episode.
Thank you very much.
It blows. I don't know why you were wincing.
First drink the science.
Right,
Let the man speak.
This was built in conjunction with Paul over there, M70XV. Basically, it is a cider bottle, thanks to Paul, it's not me. I drink them out of cans and glass bottles a lot of the time. I still don't understand how these things work, how they can work without voltage. I just don't. Okay.
You need to come on a course.
No, I don't. No, it's black magic as far as I'm concerned. Right. I've just put things on there. What do you call it? The capacitor, the diode, One of these is the aerial, I can't remember which. That's the earth. That goes to the aerial, and it's got a fancy looking capacitor there. And apart from that, there's not much else I can say about it, apart from the fact that everything in there, including the sand, which was out the old fish tank, has been recycled. And the only reason why I got sand in there is just to keep it weighted, because trying to work with this bottle is a bit too lightweight. The damn thing took off every time you breathe.
Put the cider back on. Put the cider back on.
Yeah, I know. I have got something coming across it.
I thought the sound was your ground.
No, that won't work as a ground. You need to use garden soil.
Mark, can you check the sound and make sure there's no goldfish in it?
Actually, that's an
Well, you know about
innovation.
goldfish. It could have had a Zagradania in there.
Okay.
It could have had that. But apart from that, we'll see how it goes. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, it's the fun.
But you've heard things on it.
I have. I won't really put
Chris!
This is a bog standard crystal set. He's used a variable cap, a nice little diode. He's wound his own coil, and out of a children's toy, you know those electronic games, or not games, kits you get where you plug in bits.
Oh yeah.
He's used one of those for the variable capacitor. He's used a polycon capacitor. They're quite small, but they have high capacitance, and they were used in all small transistor radios in the 60s, and even now I think they still use them. So there we go. He's obviously got 2 coils. Probably one will go to the aerial, and this will be the tune circuit with this capacitor to receive the range of frequencies. And I think this is an 80 metre one, so we'll see how well it works. That's it. That's good.
Len?
Given that this was supposed to be my idea, I thought better build something. It then occurred to me that most of the stuff that I had sitting around, kicking around in my Radio Shack accessory had gone to Ukraine, particularly space capacitors. So what we do, think outside the box. Now I won't claim this is an original idea, because about 30 years ago I was a scout leader. And I do remember reading a very interesting article, I thought then, about a guy who wanted to build a crystal set for his disabled granddaughter, and she wasn't able to twiddle little knobs, etc., but she was quite able to move her hands. So what I came up with was, essentially speaking, a couple of sheets of paper on which I've laminated with foil, different densities. I've got 3 different sets, and a gold foil, double foil and a single sheet foil. Basically, in order to tune this very, very, very simple radio, 1 diode there, 1 headset. The antenna side of it is a cross. It's based on what's called a Metox design, which was made famous by the Kriegsmarine during the Second World War, and even more famous by the British, who managed to detect the Metox and then blew them out of the water. But hey, we won't talk about that. Technically, it's a successful design. I haven't got a clue if it works, and hopefully Andrew and his team will find out and tell me.
Got to get it going.
It might even work on 80 metres, given the limited amount of rejection this has got. Right, I should imagine it'll get anything.
Yeah.
You know, from medium wave down to probably, I don't know, the microwave.
Selectivity is part of the tests.
So, you know, down to 60 kilohertz. We might hear a bit of main tom as well. It took me yesterday afternoon, an hour or so knocking the woodwork up, and about an hour again this morning just putting it all together, screwing and gluing stuff. So 2 hours work or just under, and technically you've got to feasibly work in directional, so it should have some rejection in it, crystal set. I've enjoyed building it actually, and I'd be really pleased if it actually worked. So there you are, guys.
I actually started this challenge completely the wrong way round, and that was because a crystal set, when Lynn put the idea forward, I thought brilliant, it's something I've always wanted to build, and I've never ever got round to doing it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go all in on this, and I'm going to actually build something that looks like it's come out in the 1920s. So I did that, and then I kind of went back to the prototype and realised I'd made some mistakes on the one I built. So I used the prototype and then went back and made the changes in the other one. So to start off with the one that came second, which is the prototype, is that one. Standard crystal set. It's got a medium wave coil and a short wave coil, which is switchable on the front. Basically all the switch does is it puts the medium wave coil in parallel with the short wave coil, so the inductance comes right down to where you want it to be for short wave. Standard tuning capacitor and a fine tuner as well. The interesting thing with this one is it's also got a selectivity and sensitivity control on it. So if you've got it when it's sensitive, then the pickup from the detector is taken from the top of the coil where there's maximum voltage. As a result of that, you get a lot of sound out of it, but it's not very selective. You'll pick up, if you've got a strong station, it'll pick it up almost all the way across the band. If you flick it down into selective, then it takes the tapping further down the coil. And as a result of that, you've then got a much more selectivity on it and still got the ability to fine tune it as well. I've had Radio 5 Live on this absolutely booming in. I have heard shortwave signals on it, but I've no idea whether it's going to be good enough to pick up what we've got here. And the other thing that you probably noticed on the front is it's got its own inbuilt S meter. This is me being a bit anal. What it is, with the detector, I've used two diodes. One is going one direction, which does the audio demodulation, so it's obviously picking up the top half of the waveform, and the other one is going the other way, which means that it's not loading the first one, which means I've got the ability to see what signal strength I've got going on. And interestingly enough, I had it lying on the bench one day when I was talking on the net to Derek, and I looked across and the meter was wrapping itself around the end stop. So it was kind of, I had to go and tweak the capacitor and disconnect the antenna because I was kind of frying things. But as a result of that, and the difference between this one and the other one is this is wound with Litz wire as well, because I wanted to see whether there was a real difference between using that or using enameled wire. But as a result of some tweaks I made when doing this, I did say I'd gone all out on this. So I built that one. That is built from scratch. It's a wooden box that I did buy the wooden box, and the knobs came off a Marconi CR100. But all of the brass bits are all turned out of brass bolts and plumbing fittings and bits and pieces. I didn't have a 50 microamp meter in the old style, but I had a very old meter anyway, and I had a modern movement. So I effectively took the meter to pieces, grafted the modern movement into the old meter itself. But inside, this is exactly the same as that. Difference being that this one can also receive the long wave band. And I have had Radio 4 on this, and Radio 5 Live. The tuning dial was made out of a school protractor. So that was, and all the switches, again, they were turned out of brass bolts, and the contacts and the leaves were all made out of spring brass. And and it has the facility there to put the galena crystal in. I've got a piece of it here, and I have tested it with it, and yes, it does work. So I'm happy for Andrew to judge either one of them. Right? But that, as I said, I went all out on it. I wanted to have a bit of fun. So there you go, guys.
Give a screwdriver to manipulate the capacity.
Which one was that?
Yeah, I just wondered if anyone's got one. Yeah.
You better follow me here, you're out on this.
200 watts. Secure 200 watts.
We don't need 100 watts.